keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It is 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and the position battles keep rolling along. And this one I'm not so definitive about because this one is close. This is Aaron Banks versus Daniel Brunskill for that right guard spot.
This is one that I go back and forth on. I wake up and I'm like, no, it's Brunskill. You know it's Brunskill. It's 100% Brunskill. And then I wake up and I'm like, yeah, but the vertical run game is a thing, right? And the Niners are inching closer and closer to being a team that wants to pound it down people's throat, like downhill, not so much horizontal. And then I'm like, yeah, but no, Brunskill's got a grasp of the system, right? He's a little more polished. And then I'm like, yeah, but Aaron Banks is huge and stuff and things. And it's just one of those positions that it could go either way. It really, really could. And the only thing that's going to determine who goes where and what happens with this position group is training camp. How these guys perform, preseason games, all of that fun stuff. And where are you leaning on this at this point in time?
Well, all through the offseason, the belief was that it was going to be Daniel Brunskill. Brunskill was the right guard. Finally, we had Alex Mack. He was going to stabilize the center position so Brunskill could start at guard like he was never really able to last year. And then they drafted Banks. And we thought they were going to draft a lineman, but I don't think we ever anticipated it was going to be Aaron Banks and a guard of this size and stature. And right away, you've seen a kind of philosophy change by the way they drafted Trey Sermon and the way they were looking at this vertical run game like you brought up. But watching the way that Aaron Banks is able to move at his size and get up to second level, he's still able to do the things that you need to do in the San Francisco offense. So it makes you ponder the possibility of him overtaking Daniel Brunskill. As far as physical traits and skills, Daniel Brunskill is a very good player, but he's not as big and physical as Aaron Banks is. And that physicality could be too much to overcome, but I don't want to count out Brunskill, because Brunskill is very nimble, and he's proven in the past he's able to play against like an Aaron Donald and stuff him. Those are things that are not easy in this league, which means he has potential to be a really good player. So I think that's why I think this one is close, and I haven't quite made up my mind who is going to win this position battle yet. I am waiting to see what happens in training camp in the preseason because I think it's that close.
I am still leaning towards Brunskill. It's just not as big of a lean as it once was, right? Before it was a
Leaning Tower of Pisa.
It was a Leaning Tower of Pisa. I didn't want to go there, but I'm going to have to go there. Yeah. It was a Leaning Tower of Pisa.
It was a Fat Joe lean back.
Exactly. that would have been it. I need to get the noodle working. Yeah. Get the analogies flowing through my brains and through my brain cavity. But no, it was a Leaning Tower. It was a noticeable lean towards Brunskill, and now it's almost neutral. I still give the edge to Brunskill right now because performance. If you look at performance, Brunskill has done it.
Yeah.
Right? You've seen it on tape. I've seen it against Aaron Donald. I know it exists. I know great Brunskill performances are there. I haven't seen it with Banks yet, but I think we're going to. And that's what makes this so hard and the position battle so hard is he checks all the physical tools boxes. He's big, he's huge, he's strong, right? He's going to be able to move bodies. You're not going to worry about him getting stagnant at the O-line and at the front, right? And not getting a push. This guy is going to get a push. Are all the techniques there? I don't know. Maybe not. But I haven't seen enough on film for me to go, this guy can't do it. This guy can't get it done. I've seen a lot of good things on film. I've seen a lot of good things of him getting up to second level. They did run a zone run scheme at Notre Dame. So he has experience in this style of system and the style of running. It's not going to be the same, obviously, as it was at Notre Dame. It's going to be different in the Kyle Shanahan scheme and the run scheme and the creative ways you get up to second level and who you're attacking actually at second level are going to change. So I'm just really seeing, it's really going to come down to me seeing how he picks up the playbook, how he's able to execute the things he's asked to do, and then learning the calls, right? Because learning what Alex Mack wants you to do and who to pick up, and when Alex Mack makes an audible and adjustment and tells you, hey, we're doing this, you're going to need to be able to do those things on the drop of a dime quickly. If he struggles with that, Brunskill could still, again, have the heads up and the edge up because, number one, he had to learn the center position last year, right? So he's got a little bit more familiarity with that. So I think Brunskill has all the pieces to start in terms of experience, right, demonstration, and understanding of the playbook. but Banks, has all of the physical tools to be the future. It's just the question becomes, is the future now or is the future down the road?
Yeah, and that's why I've been coming around to Banks possibly starting. You brought up about Alex Mack, and I think that's a big reason why. You stabilize that center position, and all of a sudden now Alex Mack can help guide this guy and what he needs to do and how to play. One big question I have, and I only have it about Brunskill, because I think Banks is going to be okay, because when he anchors down, he stops. But we want to stop kind of the penetration from defensive linemen. The penetration gets up into Jimmy Garoppolo's feet, or even if it's Trey Lance, his feet, they're not going to be able to step into the throws and make the throws down the field like we want. One of the big complaints on Jimmy Garoppolo is he doesn't get his legs into it. Well, if he's got bodies into his legs, he can't possibly get his legs into it. We need to make sure we have clean pockets. I know Banks can anchor down. Now, Brunskill has shown at tackle he can do that. Will that change when he's on the interior? I don't know. That is going to be a big question for him. As far as Banks go, I think Banks needs to worry about the lateral movement. If he is good moving side to side and pass blocking situations, then he has a chance to win this job. So there's a little bit of a difference in what things these guys do well and how they're going to be used. Depending on who plays better doing these things, that is who's going to win this job. And I think it is razor thin close, because I think Brunskill's a very good player, and I'll never disrespect him and say he's not, because he's proven it too much and he's shown too much.
He's too diverse.
He is. He can play anywhere, but that also may open up the possibility of them moving him because he is so diverse.
That was going to actually be the next question I had for you is there a world in which the 49ers want Banks to win this job so that they have Daniel Brunskill available and able to play behind anyone on that O-line?
I think the real world answer is they want him to win the job because they want a better option at guard. So if Banks is better, then they'll do that. If Brunskill is better, then they'll do that. But 100%, would they prefer Banks to be the better player? Yes, because if he's playing at guard, you know he's better than Brunskill, which we already thought was a great option. Now you have Brunskill to be able to play
center, guard, or tackle,
a utility position, which is fantastic. That is 100% a positive for the 49ers, and it means the 49ers offensive line is even better than we ever anticipated it was going to be this year.
And that's crazy to think, right? Because it was one of the biggest concerns heading into this offseason was the O-line. What could this O-line be? What do they even look like? Is this doable? Is this possible? Can this team ever recapture that 2019 glory and what the offense did if this O-line isn't healthy and is a patchwork? And with just a few swifts of a pen and some draft picks and all of that wonderful stuff, Parag and John Lynch and the 49ers front office got themselves Trent Williams locked up. They go out and get Aaron Banks. They get Jalen Moore. They add so much depth to this O-line, and now we're sitting here able to have a conversation that I don't think either one of us thought we were going to have. Because the thought process was, right, if Richburg isn't good to go, is Brunskill going to be the center, or are they going to go get somebody? And they brought in Williams, they brought in Mack, and all of a sudden we're sitting there going, okay, well, Brunskill is going to be the guard. That's great. Well, now they're drafting a big, huge, gigantic guard in the second round, and now we're going, is Brunskill even going to start? That makes this team that much better, because Brunskill went from a guy who was for sure solidified going to start to now, not on the outside looking in, but fighting for his job. And if he doesn't win it, it's not the end of the world, because now we have a guy who can play behind every member on the O-line.
Yeah, and when you're breaking down this offensive line, it's better than 2019.
Yes.
And 2019's offensive line, as far as they were good enough to get us to the Super Bowl. So when you're better, you're expecting even bigger numbers from the offense, especially in the run game, the way they're going to be able to diversify it. But they couldn't have done that without improving. The Alex Mack signing cannot be overlooked. And then also the drafting of, like you said, Moore and Banks shows a change of thought process, a change of philosophy, and how the 49ers are looking to attack through the offensive line and attack through this run game. And it's really going to be fun to watch. But these position battles, the fact that we're able to talk about so many, just prove how deep the 49ers roster is and how great of a job this front office has done of putting this team together, and the way that they've went out and got players that fit Kyle Shanahan's offense and the things that Kyle Shanahan likes to do. When you do that, it's a nice marriage. And when you have that nice marriage, then you get a good football team like this. And this football team has a lot of potential. Banks has heavy hands. Watch him on film. When he hits people, they move. That is one area where he has a distinct advantage over Brunskill.
Brunskill is going to be using a lot more leverage to get guys where he wants them to go, letting them move a direction, getting his hips around and taking him that way and opening up holes. Banks is going to be able to say, you don't get to go there. You go where I tell you to go.
Also expect goal line situations where they bring in extra linemen. expect Banks and Moore to be out there because they're big, they're physical, and they can move people off their spots. This 49ers offense can definitely change up in the red zone, and now you add Trey Sermon and Wayne Gallman to be able to power it up in those situations. They changed the way goal line was going to look, and that is going to be nice to watch as well. Load up on offensive linemen, blow people up. You got the best tight end blocking, you got the best fullback blocking. It's going to be hard for any of these teams to come against. Who wins this battle is still up in the air, and I can't answer it until I see training camp, until I see some of these preseason games.
No, it's going to be too hard to call and too close to call. Both these guys do different things for this offense and could do good things for this offense in terms of what they bring to the table for the run game. It really is going to come down to performance. It's really going to come down to who does what. It's going to be very interesting to see how many first-team reps they end up splitting and sharing, who's starting the first preseason game, and then how long they're letting these guys go, because at the end of the day, too, you don't want to get them hurt. You don't want to get them injured. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to what this position battle can bring to the table and really what it says about this team going forward, because, again, if Brunskill is still the option, maybe there's not as much of an emphasis on the downhill running game. Maybe Trey Sermon isn't going to be as big of a running back presence as we all think he's going to be early on in the season. And if Banks is starting off the get-go and off the jump, then, you know, everything that we've been thinking about what this 49ers offensive run game could be looking like could be coming true.
If Banks is starting first preseason game at right guard, it's a done deal.
It's pretty much over,
it's done. That means Brunskill is competing for the swing tackle position and overall utility man that can play anywhere on this offensive line. So that's going to be something to look at. That'll be our first glimpse. You're right. What happens at that guard position could ultimately dictate what happens with this 49ers offense. One way or another, Banks is inevitable. He's happening just like Trey Lance is at some point. Just when is it going to happen? Is it going to be week 1, week 8, week 16? We don't know. But when it happens, we know that this guy's going to be ready to go, and he's going to take this 49ers offensive line to another level.
We want to hear from you, though, on this position battle. Where do you land? Are you in the Brunskill camp? Are you in the Banks camp? Or are you like us? You're just going to kind of wait and see. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself and get over your skis. You want to let this thing play out and find out, and then be able to give proper reaction and understanding what's going on with this 49ers offense, because it is changing. It is evolving. We want to hear from you. Let us know in the comment section down below. And while you're down there commenting away, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you're notified for all of this great content, all this training camp content that's coming your way, because it is right around the corner, folks. And most importantly, one last position battle to cover.
Yeah, and make sure you jump into the comment section and let us know what you think about this. If you're, watching this right now, just go down there right now, type it up. Let us know who you think is going to win this position battle. Give us reasons why. If you don't know yet and you're on a wait and see, let us know that too. We wanted to have a conversation with you. We want to see what you're thinking. It's always nice to see what the 49ers faithful is thinking, what the Cutback crew is thinking, because ultimately it's about, talking about having these conversations, talking about these players, and trying to figure out what is going to happen. It's only going to be proven on the field, but until then, we're talking about what could be.
What could be, and we're ever so close to figuring that out. It's going to be exciting times. Make sure you join the Cutback crew down there, comment away, and until next time, 49ers fans, you stay safe.
And remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.